Hello ladies and gentlemen, Alexander here and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now in today's video I'm going to be showing you the top 3 hardest aircraft to land in for flight. Now this is all my opinion and I've gone for more of a general aviation route but also with a bit of commercial aircraft route in this video as well. So our first aircraft is of course the Cirrus SL72. Now we're going to have to spawn it on the runway and then go on to short final. Because the approach will take about 10 minutes itself and that will be really boring if we have to watch the approach. Okay, now also if you are new here, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's just go straight into this. So the aircraft here, we've got, let me just check the volumes on 0 so everyone can hear me. Yep. So we've got the little Cirrus. Okay, so it's a bit of a weird aircraft, and I think it's a hard one to land. Alright, so we're going to be using HUD. And let's just go straight to the short final. So the first thing I notice is, like, whatever way I point the nose, the aircraft sort of travels unless I have to really reduce the nose of the aircraft here, the velocity of the aircraft. So you can see that we're going down quite nicely. Now, what I find is with general aviation, you sort of want the little circle to be in line with your little V, but it's a really hard aircraft to control in the sky, and I find I tend to float a little bit, so that was alright, but again we're bumping up and down. Oh, that wasn't meant to happen, and we are now on 0 throttle. Now the main issue I have with landing this aircraft is it's nowhere near as smooth as some of the jets. Okay, now getting a smooth landing on an aircraft is very important to most of you players, because like when you walk away from a landing, you know, you want it to be smooth, especially in flight simulators. You want it to be as good as possible and as smooth as possible. And I find the Cirrus doesn't quite replicate that as well for me. But I think that might be a personal thing, and I don't really fly it that often. Okay, so the next aircraft we're going to go through, we're going to go to the 737s, because I think in general they're a pretty hard aircraft to land. Let's use the factory livery, shall we? Because I don't really see many people using the factory livery. And we'll stay at Gatwick, but we'll go on to final now for 2.6 left, and we'll just see how this works out. Hopefully it works out quite nicely, and it will all go to plan, of course, even though stuff never goes to plan in infinite flight, unfortunately, nowadays. So hopefully it's going to load. I'll be back with you once the flight simulator loads in. Okay, so it literally loaded in 10 seconds after I said that. So we're on final, no autopilot. I really do like the factory livery. It looks really cool. So we got the live cockpit, of course, but we're going to be using HUD again to make sure it's fair. Now, with the 737, the bit I find okay is this, you know, setting up your approach. I think that's alright. And you can see the little diamond, or the green diamond, that's our glide slope, I think. And we're quite well on that. We want it to be around that middle line that it's on. So we're actually a little bit too low now. So I'm just going to knock up our speed. So with the larger jet aircraft, it's a bit easier to follow the glide slope, I find, in infinite flight. So that's definitely doable and much nicer for us all as a group. And we can see, is our glide slope, yeah, so that's our glide slope down there as well. It's a little bit hard to see on my iPad, so we're now a bit below it. But what I can do is follow the glide slope down there in the cockpit. So that's something pretty good. So here we are on short final, and your trim is meant to be at 50%, someone told me the other day. Well, in the comment sections, because these videos are now pre-recorded just for anyone still, yeah, if you even get this far in the video. Just so you know, because I'm on holiday. So we are coming up on that short final here, and we're very nearly at our airport. Now, like I said, it seems alright. It seems like, you know, a very general basic approach right now. But the issue I get with the aircraft is, can I get the smooth landing? Now, of course I can with the HUD. Like this, probably not. But we can figure it out with the HUD. So we're now crossing over that glide slope, and we're way beyond where we want to be. Oh, and we're still back in right below it to where we want to be. So here we are on the short final and the very last bit of our approach here. And you know, as you can see, I find the aircraft, again, it's a little bit hard to control the speed. That might just be me. And now as we come near onto the runway, this is where I tend to struggle. Now, because I'm making it for a video, it'll probably be really smooth. Unfortunately, actually no, we are way too low. So hopefully it's going to be a smooth landing. Oh, see, now that was an okay landing, but if you compare it to the other videos in like the 787, A350, A330, it's a lot more rough and a lot bumpier, so it's a much harder landing in general, and I don't know why that happened. But just admiring the livery here very quickly for us all. That is a beautiful livery. So we're going to go right into replay mode, and I'll be back with you once I'm in replay mode. Okay, so we're now back in replay mode, and we're going to skip to the final stages of our landing here. So as you can see, our centre line is pretty good actually, and we're pretty well aligned. Now, remember we were using HUD, so it's much easier. And here we are on the very short bit. Are we near a tail strike? No, but that was a little bit bumpy. You know, you can't really get a smooth landing with the 737, so it is in general quite a hard aircraft to land in infinite flight, I think. I think quite a few of you would disagree with me, but personally, I think the 737 is definitely a hard aircraft to land. Now, let's just look back. So we've got the Spitfire. Honourable mention, I think it's extremely hard to land in infinite flight, the Spitfire, but unfortunately it does come up along with the X-Cub, which again, another extremely hard aircraft to land in infinite flight just because of those front two gear. Okay, so now that is an issue of course, but we're not going to use them in this video because I think they're a little bit too basic. But what we do have is the Caribbean, not the Caribbean, the Caravan. Okay, so we're going to go in the FedEx livery, why not? And we're going to go onto approach as well, and hopefully fingers crossed it's not too... Oh, what has happened there? Our calibration was really bad then. Now I can't see the runway. I'm not too sure why we're at this place here. We spawned next to Gatwick. We'll just go on to short final, and I can try and show you what I have wrong with this aircraft. Now I'm going to bring our height right down because we have a small runway, and I think we're definitely coming in a bit too fast. But getting a smooth landing on this aircraft is very hard, and it is a bit bouncy. It's very bouncy there. You did say how much I struggled to land the aircraft there, so we were at full flaps. We're gonna run out of things. There's no rudder brake on it as well, so it's even harder to come for a full stop. And we're not going to run out of runway, that looks like. So we did make it all in one piece. So let's go back to the replay, and I'll just show you why it is just in general. I think it's a really tricky aircraft to land in infinite flight, and I think it deserves a spot on this list. So not many of you will be flying this aircraft, of course. We're just gonna, let's get back to here. Here we are above the runway, and kaboom, boom. So it sort of like hits the ground all at once. I feel like after you fly it a few times you might get there, but again the gear, there's no like suspension or anything which will allow you to get that little bit of springy bounce, which is why the aircraft just sort of jolted right back into the air here. So if I can show you, you can see that it just sort of went airborne again for a little bit, and that's due to the no suspension, which I think is really hard again to avoid that little extra push back into the air. Okay, now I also didn't show you the other landing, the SR72, which I'll quickly show you all now. So hopefully that'll load in, and I think the three aircraft I've shown you are very hard to get that perfect landing that you want. I feel like the 747, the A380, people might say are hard, but I don't think they're that bad in reality, because you have a lot of landing gear, so you get a lot of contact with the ground all at once. So here we are again, and we do again just have that extra little bounce, and I think it's the bounce that I can't quite get hold of. I've been playing infinite flight for a long time now, and I still have issue with these aircraft and their little bounces. So hopefully that's something which in the near future we can see get rid of. But I think that's also down to lots of practice, and I don't use general aviation aircraft that much. Okay, so if you agree with me, let me know down below. But other than that, I'll see you in my next video. Good night.